Today we have Sarah Naska. She is a serial entrepreneur and has worked in various industries from finance, corporate aviation, business consulting, and public speaking. She has worked her way up from the bottom to literally the top without any handouts and has overcome hardships in life that would crumble many people. Today we're going to get into it. How are you doing since Vegas? That was the last time I saw you.
Yeah, there's been a lot that's changed since Vegas. Vegas was a good time, though. It's good to see you again. Thanks for having me on the show.
Always.
Yeah, so LA's been crazy. Obviously, we had fires in January, so it's been wild trying to get the city back together, adjusted from all that. So it kind of threw a couple weeks off, in the start of the year, and you're just trying to regather your vision and stay focused. But it was, yeah, we're all safe. We're good for now.
You guys weren't affected by it?
Well, we had to evacuate. So we had to evacuate for like 24 hours and then we came back and then there was three more emergency evacuations. So we ended up going to Beverly Hills because a girlfriend of mine was in Miami and she was like, I was going down the mountain. I was like, where do I go? The interstate's jacked, like everything's packed up. Crime was happening. It was crazy. We were at a gas station. Somebody got tased because they were going crazy. And my kids and my dog were like, we are literally in the end of the world.
Jeez, I was seeing everything on Instagram and TikTok. It literally looked like the end of the world with the
It
fires and the
it
crime.
felt like it for like a minute, but obviously, you try to kind of recalibrate and adjust to the situation. We had a night in my girlfriend's apartment and that was fine. And then we came back, try to readjust, but it took a few weeks, the air quality was bad. You could see smoke like ashes and flame, just off in the distance when you're driving, you can see it. People are enjoying a drink or out having a restaurant and they're looking out the window and you're seeing fire. So it's crazy. But yeah, it's getting back to normal now. I mean, as best as it can. There's a lot of people still majorly affected by it, but I personally am getting back to normal. So
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that because I feel like many people with the fires, especially, it would affect them so much and their whole entire focus would be on that. So you to be able to get straight back to it.
yeah, I mean, I served at the Dream Center downtown LA. Me and the kids did that. And then I obviously tried to serve a little bit at the church, help some of the volunteers. They're doing a distribution center. So it's ongoing stuff, that you kind of feel it still in your heart. And every day it's just kind of try to get back to work and, create income so that you can keep giving back. So yeah, but we're on the good foot now for now. So LA is sunny and 76 today. I was doing yoga by the pool. I'm grateful, hiking, living the dream for
That's
sure.
awesome. I was there a couple months ago actually, and I love it there. I love
Yeah.
it. I mean, from the water, because I surf, to hiking up the mountains, and then you have Erewhon and all these other places. It's so nice over there.
Yeah, you need to come. You need to come
I know.
visit or
I gotta get back over there. What
so
made
you
you, what made
gotta
you go from the East Coast to the West Coast? Because that's a huge move.
Yeah, so I lived in Savannah, Georgia for 15 years and I grew up moving a lot every few years. So I had the itch to move from Savannah for a lot of years, but I was anchored there, so I couldn't really do much. So I started doing flying. I worked in corporate aviation to kind of scratch the itch of travel. I was out on the West Coast a ton between my investment projects and networking and girlfriends and aviation, whatever it was. So I was like, the dots are starting to connect out here. Maybe I should explore it a little bit. And I'd gone through a life change, went through a divorce, and trying to just strategize. What do I want my life to look like in the next 5 years, 10 years? And so talked to my kids about it. We had top three places we were going to go. We looked at Costa Rica to move outside of investments. We were going to move there. So we took a 2 week trip and my kids were like, it's not time. I'm like, yep, it's not time. It's way too remote out here for us for like a 24/7, so because I'm wanting to retire and live like a good life, and Costa Rica's cheap and the land is rich. So that's kind of one of the thoughts behind it. But we decided, you know what, I'm still young. I got stuff to do in this world. So we narrowed it down and finally made it. We looked at Miami and because we were in Georgia, and I'm like, it's an easy 6 hours. We can move, and we love Miami, but it just felt right to go to LA. And I only knew one girlfriend that I met through a marketing company. She was my marketing coach. And then I met somebody at a wealth conference in Vegas, and it was another girl that was a real estate agent. And so we just connected and started building a friendship while I lived in Georgia. And it just made sense because I was out here once or twice a month on the West Coast and I was tired of the red eye. So making the move out here was kind of the natural next step and the dream, but not necessarily natural in the finances.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was a big move. We offloaded the house, sold all the assets, a lot of them on the East Coast, bought an RV, loaded it up with the dog, towed a vehicle. My kids drove my Lexus, and we truck across the country and made it out to LA without anything, had beds on order, and arrived July 9th. And yeah, it's been an adventure ever since, just over 7 months. So
Wow.
getting your feet on, getting up on your feet here, finding friendships, finding work, creating income, having a church family, getting involved, like just a ton of change. And it's been awesome, but it's been a challenge for sure. My emotions are my like all up and down.
I was gonna say you must have nerves of steel and be very, very adventurous because I mean, I'm going through a move right now from New York to Florida, and even coming down here for 2 or 3 days, I'm like trying to manage all the emotions and feel out all the signs because with a lot of people, I mean, it's like back and forth with the emotions. Am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Like, do I have an actual set plan? Should everything just be going? Did you have any of that when you were going back and forth of like those limiting thoughts, that imposter syndrome? Like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I've questioned it a little bit during my deepest struggles when I've been out here. Like, did I make a foolish decision? Did I burn all my assets to live this dream? I have a really big 5-year plan that I want to accomplish. I'm like, are you foolish? You're a fish in the sea kind of thing. So I've had a couple moments like that, but deciding to get out here, I just had certain things that just aligned perfectly. And when I needed certain things to happen, it happened. I never saw the house that I was going to be at before I got here. My realtor, I just said, send me some stuff. She came and sent a video. I'm like, cool. I had too much going on. I was sick in the spring and had surgery and I was moving. All these things were going on. So I was like, I don't care as long as it meets certain checklists. It was private. It had enough space for me and my kids. It had a nice little pool so I could have a lot of outdoor space and time. So yeah, I just kind of trusted the process of like what came to me. If it felt right, I would say yes. And that was my thing all year. I was like, if it feels right, just say yes. So it turns out I ended up being just 8 minutes away from Mosaic Church, which is one of the best churches in the world. And knowing my personality, if I would have ended up in Calabasas or Woodland Hills or even Orange County, I have girlfriends that want me to move out there. I would have never met with this social circle, and it's been an amazing experience. Helped me anchor into LA, and I felt like I'm called just to be a part of the church on top of all the work stuff. So it's been amazing. Yeah, little synchronicities along the way. I'm like, wow, had no idea, but wow, here we are.
That's amazing. What made you choose that church? Because I talked to a lot of people about religion, and I'm a man of faith as well in God, and I've had my fair share of going in and out of churches and religion and faith. But over the past basically year and a half, I've had a whole entire journey of moving back from spirituality to religion to God and trying to go back to the church. But I talked to so many different people that are young, that are in their 20s, and they feel like faith is being pushed onto them. Like they don't like to go to church anymore and they're disconnecting from that. What what made you choose that church? And you have any advice for people who are going through something like that where they're transitioning back and forth and trying to find where they fit in?
Yeah, so I didn't fit into the church for a lot of years. Growing up, I didn't feel like I fit in. I grew up in a Christian household. My mom was in ministry, so it was already a weird dynamic because she was a single woman and a woman in the church. And so I just grew up in a weird environment. We weren't received a lot. There was a lot of just kickback. And my mom, bless her heart, she was pioneer paving the way. She didn't have a husband, but she just loved Jesus and she just wanted to share her faith. And so, I learned a lot through her, but through the church world itself, I did ministry myself for a lot of years, 20 plus years, and did nonprofit stuff, did missions overseas, as well as nonprofit in the States for a full-time gig. And it was amazing, but there were moments where it just, things don't always feel like it's the right fit with certain people or certain organization. So you kind of have to just trust your instinct on where you feel. Sometimes you have to pull back from the church a little bit and like mentally just figure out what you're feeling because you might be triggered at church and it might not be the church's problem. It might be just you're having a moment because you're feeling shame of your lifestyle. Or so that would be my advice is for people to pull into themselves and feel God and find out what he's saying to them and trust their instinct. Finding a healthy leader. For me, Mosaic, I went to college. I went to a Bible college for a couple of years in Florida. And at one point along the journey, he was a part of the Bible college circle. And so I had remember hearing his sermons over the years. I mean, we're talking 25 years ago. And I wasn't really on social media, so I wasn't tracking along with podcasts and what people are doing in the world outside of what I knew books or just old school sermons, the cassette tapes or this, you just show up on a Sunday and you hear him preach. So now, obviously, social media is way different. You can have access to these amazing men of God and experiences and conferences and things that you wouldn't know about without even attending. So people can start there, start online church until they feel comfortable because you can leave without getting in trouble. But but Mosaic for me, I moved here and I was like, I moved here on July 9th. I was laying in bed. I was like, all right, like Sunday's in a couple days. I'm like, what do I want to do? I want to go to church here, of course. So like I was just like, oh yeah, Mosaic is here. And I just Googled it. I'm like, where is it? 8 minutes away. And so I remembered how much I loved him, but I hadn't been following anybody online because I was just head down working for so many years, doing my life, raising kids, nonprofit travel. Social media is not really my thing. I have to work at it to be my thing. But so yeah, so I just showed up and it was like as soon as I'm like, this is home. He's a healthy leader. He's an entrepreneur. Just his mind and the way he works is just brilliant. So I just felt very comfortable very fast. And I'm like, yeah, he's my pastor. And so it's not, church is not a task, it's a joy. And for a lot of years, church was a task. So yeah, I understand how it's a wrestle and people go through stuff. Sometimes you have to pull back to go forward. So, you know,
That's a huge thing. Pull back to go forward. I've been learning that a lot. My
mm,
my word this year is simplification.
I
Trying to
love
pull back and get everything set up so that I could move forward. Which has been a challenge back and forth with all those thoughts in your head, and I call it the silent inner battle that we have on a daily basis. Um, your mom being a single mother, do you think you moving around and being in that type of situation shaped you into a much different person that you are today? Because I know with all the industries that you've been in and with all the things that you have done, starting from literally the bottom to the top, it takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage, and a lot of determination, obsession to continue to go, even sometimes when you don't see that, what I call delayed gratification. So, what was what was life like growing up? Because I know so many people, this is what I think on a daily basis of people that are in their 20s and they're trying to figure it out and they're going all over and things, hardships in life keep on hitting them. And there's people who take the hardships and see it in a different perspective as like a blessing to them that they're going to be able to overcome it. And then there's others that unfortunately fall into the victim mindset and have that have the hardships hold them back. It seems like you are the one that took everything as a lesson and continued to move forward from it.
Yeah, that's my approach to life for sure. Everything is a lesson. Every person is a lesson. What am I supposed to be learning right now? Where am I growing? Where am I stagnant? And so growing up, everything just was a lesson. I watched my mom move. She moved for several reasons. She moved when we were little to go to college in Oklahoma. She wanted to go to Bible college. So, she already had kids that were, my sister was in high school. I was in elementary school when we went down to Oklahoma for her college experience. And so she was a single mom just working. And so because of that, then after she graduated her Bible college, she felt empowered by her mission. So she wanted to do missions. And so we loaded up the car. We traveled for a year out of a car and we went up and down Canada, all up New York, the East Coast, and she spoke at churches and we'd stay on floors. And I mean, sometimes we get a hotel room. So that was my entire eighth grade year was in a car. And so she was obviously a single woman. My dad was not financially contributing. And so she, we ate slim on some of those days. She would say we're fasting, we're forced fasting, and I had to work through some of that healing. Because I had a hard issue with food for a lot of years. I'm like, why are we forced fasting? I don't want to fast. And then sometimes, like, she would be like, oh, you go to the grocery store, you can pick out a roll and a piece of fruit. And that was our meal for the day. And I was like, dang, I went for the bread section and I'd get the biggest piece of bread I could.
Yep. Love.
Or sometimes we'd have like 2 for 2 Whopper deals, but this is back in the day at Burger King and get, four burgers for $4 and that's what we would eat. And so it just taught you to be adaptable and flexible and creative with your money and creative with your resources and all the things, that you have going on. My dogs, you might hear my dog. Um, but so traveling obviously has helped me become a completely different person because you have to put yourself in hard situations. You're always alone in new schools, you're alone in, everywhere you go, you're trying to start new friendships, you're trying to build a network, you're trying to pursue something, whether it's school friendships or new clubs at, high school, cheerleading, whatever it was, track, soccer. You're starting from the ground up every year or two because you're moving. And so you learn quick how to adjust in business, and
Yeah.
so it kind of creates a curiosity for the world. And yeah, so I tend to make relationships really quick and really like they go deep really quick because I don't know how long I'll have them in my life. So I like build it, and then if it stays long term, it's awesome. If I move and it drops off, then it's one of those things that we had an amazing life experience during that season we were together. So yeah, it translates into networking. It translates into all kind of areas of your life. Yeah.
Two questions for you on that. First one is with networking. Do you have any advice for people with networking, with meeting other people, especially if they're more so an introvert and don't know how to open up and talk to people and meet new friends, especially if they're traveling to new cities? And the second question for the follow-up on that is actually do the first one first. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously I'm not the most extroverted person. People think that because I know how to turn it on and turn it off. But I'm an introvert. So I'm not comfortable in a lot of these situations. I'll sit in the car and like amp myself up to a playlist. I'm like, you got this, let's go. And people are always like, why are you running late? Like especially if I'm out with friends, I'm like, I'm not late. I'm at the parking lot in the restaurant. I know you guys are just going to give me more anxiety right now. So with the networking side, I have to really kind of put that hat on and say, I'm here to network and build relationships, and this also could translate into work in the future. So I have to be very intentional wherever I go. And sometimes, a lot of the times, I create humor to make situations more comfortable. So if I'm at church and I'm waiting in line and I'm standing there alone and there's a lady next to me and I'm standing a little too close, I'll be like, make a joke. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to be up on you, girl. And then she'll giggle and then she'll talk to me for a second and I'm like, where are you from? What industry are you in? And we're just in line at church, right? Oh, do you want to sit together? And it's just easy and seamless because you can kind of just ping pong off of each other if you're the one that knows how to be intentional in the conversation. So same thing with networking events, conferences, paying to get in front of the right people, your network is your net worth, and you have to put value behind it. And if you invest in people and show value and give honor in those kind of situations, they will see it and they'll want to pour back into you. Not only the life lessons, the business development, the leadership skills that they want to pour into you, but a lot of times relationship opens up and it becomes a really fluid thing where you end up doing work together, and then it's built on trust and brand authority. All those things work into it, but it starts with being approachable. It starts with being conversational. It starts with having energy that's warm, and that to get, high vibrational energy and to be vulnerable and authentic, you got to do the inner work. So you got to make sure you can't, your limiting beliefs are kind of constantly getting tackled. You're revisiting stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable so that you don't project that onto other people. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of inner work for years and just trying to master myself and being anchored and secure in who I am. And I feel like I've got a really good touch of who I am. And so feel like people receive me well and it translates into work, and it becomes such a blessing. So
Yeah, I agree 100% on that. I mean, I feel like personal development is just I my definition of that used to a couple of years ago used to be so short, like it's just personal development, like take a course and that's it. Now it's life. And I love learning, I love growing, I love investing, going up to all these events and meeting new people. And I think it's really important, especially for relationships and
Mhm.
for marriage and for dating, because I mean, just the different levels that people are on. Usually one person outgrows the other one, and then that can cause difficulties in the relationship and then fighting back and forth. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a huge key part, especially as you're growing up in young age. I had a question on the pay to play actually. So I love this term that you use because that's actually how I met a lot of people that I met a couple of years ago. How important was that when you were going with the private aviation? Pay to
Yeah.
play, meet all these people. I mean, just the amount of connections and what you hear or what you even see and learn and who you meet.
Yeah, so just cracking the surface on that with aviation. You have yet to see what I'm going to do with the networking and the relationships that are building through aviation. It's a new brokerage. Obviously, I've been in aviation for 11, 12 years now, but the brokerage is launching out here, the brand out here in LA. So it's definitely full force with the networking. But as far as like getting in front of the right people over the last few years while this brokerage was getting off the ground, it's been super crucial. Whether you're paying a chunk to get on a podcast, whether you're paying a chunk to get behind a mastermind, whether you're paying a chunk to take a leadership course or at a conference, those are all super crucial because people take you serious when you have money like to invest. If you give 10, 20, 30, 40 grand to be a part of something, they're going to say, okay, this is not a little task. This is a big deal. I'm going to give them attention. And so that attention translates into a network that it has a reach that's so much farther than where you could get if you were take that 30 grand and buy a residential property and just sit on it and collect 400 bucks a month. So, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, I'll take the 30 grand, invest it to some high hitters, and let's see if we can learn and glean and grow and like scale. And then the mindset, it rubs off and the relationships build off of that. And it's just, I don't know, life is so much fuller with people that you're surrounded by. When you're paying to get in front of those kind of people or you're becoming a part of those programs, it's to build a legacy, it's to to create a community that's more connected to like who you are, birds of a feather, right? Because you're not going to find people, most entrepreneurs are lone wolf. They can't celebrate their wins. They can't celebrate their losses. Who wants to celebrate the loss? But that's a lesson, right? But
Right.
you can't talk about it a ton, or you can't share projects because there's NDAs, or there's just so many
Yeah.
things. And so you're alone on a lot of stuff. And so you're kind of doing stuff in your head and you're trying to lead and be a team player and always lead forward with vision and keep the head strong. So that can be a challenge when you're doing it from the leadership side. You want to link with other leaders and other entrepreneurs that are doing great things and to build friendships there. That makes a whole difference in your quality of life because you're vacationing together in high-end spots and your work reward is amazing. And then they're throwing you a bone and you're throwing them a bone. And then they have a contract and you get a fee for this. And oh, I'll write you in my contract because you've referred them to. And it just starts building businesses and relationships that just take it way farther than you could get with buying a car or, doing a private school for your kids, which I did for many years, or invest it in yourself. And so I'm a big believer in investing in yourself. It's
100%.
a life changer, game changer.
100%. How do you know if someone in your life or in your circle is toxic and you need to get away from them? Because I mean, toxicity can spread and it can hold someone back. So I'm wondering how you navigated that in your life because I've had some people as well in my life where I try and get around a group of people that are a level above me so that I can learn and so that I can expand. And I love doing it. But then there's everyone at home, right, that is saying, "Oh, do you think you're better than us? Why are you doing that? You should just stay here. You're good over here. How would you navigate that? And how do you know if someone is not good for you, whether it's a friend or like dating someone or in a marriage? And how would you recommend of getting away from that? Because that's a huge problem even in my life sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, negativity and that kind of toxic lifestyle is rampant, especially in my family and friend circle over the years. I'm highly sensitive. I'm a highly sensitive person. And so I'm very sensitive to negative energy. I pick up on other people's energies. And so I carry it in my body and I'll get anxiety. And so I've had to learn how to stay at peace, even though other people are in chaos. And how to put those parameters around this is not going to affect me just because of my neurodivergent brain. But the other side of it is I don't I don't let people in too close that are going to drain my energy. And I also don't let people that I don't want to live their life speak into my life. So if they don't have a lifestyle that I'm wanting to aspire to be, then their advice for me in the area of work is not, I'm not going to take that advice. Or if they don't have a marriage or a relationship of a lifestyle that I want to live for 50 years, I appreciate it and I'll nod and I'm going to be grateful for the token statement, but that's all it is in my life. I'm not going to take advice from people that don't have a life that I want to live, that don't have character and morals and respect. You know what I mean? So I kind of judge that as far as people falling off along the way. People feel uncomfortable when they're challenged to grow and they're not growing, you know? When they see an entrepreneur that you're a friend, they see you doing big things, it all of a sudden shines a light on them and it shines a light on what they are capable of and it shines a light of what they're not doing and that can trigger insecurities, anxiety, jealousies, all kind of things. And so it's not necessarily always personal to you and you're like, why can't they celebrate my wins? Like I got nobody in my corner. But it's like you're triggering everybody left and right because not everybody wants to be the best version of themselves. Comfortability is a common thing and people, not everybody is wired or has the emotional capacity or will go there to dig to the depths of who they could be in this life, you know, and how they could make an impact in this world. Some people want to work the 9 to 5, they want to watch football at night, they want to drink their beer and they want to hang with their family on the weekends and they don't want to do anything but that. They will stay there for 30 years and live their life like that. And they're okay with that, you know? But for you and me and people that have like high ambition, high dreams, high goals, and impact for the world, you know, we're motivated by the impact. And so that makes us just feel different in general. So we automatically will feel a little bit more detached from those people because we don't have the same vision and goals in line, right? So it automatically starts to bring a bridge and oh my dog, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Um, she does this every time I'm on a podcast. She knows she's quiet all day. And then if I'm giving attention, I'm like, I don't know where to put her. Like, where do I put her? She's outside. But anyway, so yeah, as far as that goes, that's kind of what I think on that. You know, it's a it's a tricky thing with friendships because you don't want to like lose friendships, but there's seasons and times where you have to walk away or let them fall off, you know?
Yeah.
And not aligned in a relationship. And if it's not aligned, it's not aligned, you know? And your gut and your peace will show you that, you know, you will have a complete feeling about it in your body.
You bring up a really good point on that with detachment and everything. So, question on that for you. If someone's in a relationship and they're specifically married and they're going through a separation, why do you think it becomes so hard for them to detach? And for those who are struggling with it, what do you think is the best way to detach, to actually leave that person? Because there's so many strings, there's so much bondage of wanting that person back, or can this actually work? And it probably in that moment is holding you back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I dealt with that personally. I was married for 23 years and we got to a wall in our relationship for about a decade or more, really. 15 years really. But we just kept pushing through it. And I was just trying to be a silent, suffering servant and just show up and be quiet. Shut up and show up was my saying. I would always say it, just shut up and show up. You don't, this is not about you right now. Just do what you're supposed to do. I was working in the church and I was serving, you know, I was doing my life that I was required to do. Even though I was miserable and hating it and trying, just felt, you know, stifled in every area of my life. But I started just, I mean, I had to hire a life coach for myself to kind of establish like, what does that look like in my life? And is this healthy thinking to leave a marriage? Like, after all this, obviously, there's a lot of factors at play between a dating relationship and a marriage with family. It's very different. You're trying to stay anchored for your children. But there was just some non-negotiables, and I would have conversations and say, here's some non-negotiables. And I would give a time frame, 3 months, 6 months, and nothing would change, nothing would rise. The list, the to-do list of like this needs to be done before you know, it would not happen. And so in regards to personal development and or moving forward in our relationship. And so it got to a point where it was like, okay, here's the ultimatum. If you do not, then this is what I have to do. And I have to choose myself and my mental health and my sanity first. I love you, but this is where we're at. And, you know, we have to kind of just, and so people have the responsibility to rise or fall. And yeah, so I chose to honor myself, honor my mental health, honor my children. And it was not an easy decision because I had to do a career change. I mean, I still had my other businesses, but you know, I had a career change. I left a church community, a family, church friends, you know, a lot of just leaving behind. And for the sake of, I know that I'm called for something better than this. I can't stay here. You guys are killing me. And the energy and the situation and the life that I'm living right now, this life is killing me. I'd rather die than stay in this life. And so I got to that point. It was like a rock bottom, you know, over several years. And like I said, I hired a life coach. She walked me through it for a whole year. And then I was like, okay, it's time. So I made my boundaries strong, and that's kind of where we took it from there. So it wasn't easy, but I think it was necessary. And obviously, everybody can grow in the process of that, even in grief and pain and suffering. Everybody has the choice and the opportunity to expand and grow through that. And I feel like I did. I feel like I have grown leaps and bounds, and my mental health is clear, and life has been easy and amazing, even though there's tons of hardship, you know, when you're walking away and you're feeling alone, and working as a single mother, all these things that it's amazing. I still feel so much more at peace because I'm following my passion. I'm following what God has spoken to me, and I'm following my peace, you know, and that's the big thing. If people are interrupting your peace, you got to put a boundary there, no matter who it is. And if it gets abusive and toxic, it's a non-negotiable, you know? So
100%.
yeah.
Really important to protect your energy and protect your mental state, protect where you're going. Do you think that was the hardest time in your life?
There's been so many hard seasons in my life, to be honest with you. I've had a really tough upbringing and tough life. If I told you stories, your mind would be blown. But I don't define myself from those stories. I define myself from what I came through from those stories. So it's hard for me to say that was the hardest thing. That was freaking hard. And I'm still walking through like the residual side of, I'm a couple years over on the other side of it, but I'm a single woman now. So I have more pressures in a different way, and how I work, my work life looks different because I'm a female now, and I have, when you have a husband, everything, people treat you different when you have a husband. As a wife, I know that because I was a wife for a lot of years. Now that I'm a single woman, people want to work with me, but they want to work with me. You know what I mean? And I'm just like,
Yeah,
well, I need a boundary here. Like I'm trying to work and feed my kids. So I'm still on the other side of it, but I'm still going through challenges, and I'm going through emotional, you know, trials. I'm looking for a husband. So obviously I'm emotionally like, oh, I would like to be married. I'm a wife. I'm a wife kind of girl. So, you know, obviously you're working through those things over the years, but as a whole, like, yeah, life will throw things at you. You just kind of have to know how to pivot, how to emotionally process it. But I've had a lot of loss in my life. So there's been several seasons of hard things. But I feel like each time it's like the hardest, it prepares you and it gives you more capacity for that next layer that's coming. And you're like, okay, wow, I didn't know that I was going to be able to connect and relate to this people group because of this tragedy. Wow. I didn't know that this was going to be a platform for me to speak from. I didn't know being a single woman would be another platform that I would be able to speak into. Because as a married woman, how can you speak into a single woman's life that's got kids and a single woman, you know? So it's like, okay, God, you're just giving me more platforms to share. And so that's kind of how I've taken the approach is like whatever comes at me, it's just another platform. If I can emotionally get through the pain of it, process it, transmute it, stay vibrating high, share love, learn the lesson, apply it to my life and move forward. So share it with others.
Yeah.
That's kind of my approach with the pain. So yeah, there's been a lot of hard things in life, but that was one of them.
Pain into power, pain into beauty. I always love saying that phrase when something's feels like it's really tough and there's no way to come back from it. And just knowing that it's always setting you up for something that's even greater. When you
Yeah.
were in those low times, especially when you were young, was there anything that you did on a daily basis or on a weekly basis that helped you get through those tough times? Because, for example, me, sometimes I'll have the racing thoughts in my head, the imposter syndrome back and forth, and I'll go on YouTube and watch some Rocky Balboa, some Sylvester Stallone, or just Tony Robbins, someone to give me like inspiration and help me get through it. And I go in and out of these phases sometimes because that voice in the head trying to train it to you're not serving me right now. Quiet down, quiet down. So I'm wondering with all the hardships that you went through as well that you have overcome, was there anything that you did that helped out?
Yeah, so I've been an active kid my whole life. Like, just I didn't realize it was like energy and anxiety trying to come out when you're a kid. You're just like, I gotta. So I ran track. Even at lunch at school, I would run the track just lap after lap after lap for, the entire hour of lunch when that was in elementary school and they didn't have a track team. You know what I mean? I was just like, pff. So I was very active. I played soccer, I did cheerleading. I've been working out in a gym since about 13 years old actively. So that is something that has always been a staple in my life. As I got older, I started transitioning it to calisthenics, more yoga, less strength training, just because my body, the way it feels now, it feels better to do it in the movement that I'm doing. So I've transitioned it, over the years, but that's one thing that I've just had as a consistency in my life is that mental health of working out and getting the energy out. Because you can think clearer if your energy is out. If you're tired at the end of the day, you're not going to be as obsessive with your thoughts. So if I start getting into a loop like that, I'm going to go for a hike or I'm going to do something to kind of get some action going. And then from there, obviously, I've been a Christian my whole life. There's been seasons where I have not turned to God in prayer, meditation every day, but there are a lot of seasons I have. And that is between, taking time to sit with yourself, get quiet those voices, the outside voices, the imposter syndrome, the fear, all that stuff. If you can just sit and get quiet and then feel uncomfortable, but also understand that this is part of the process and that you have to keep pushing the window on that, like just keep pushing it up so that you can find your freedom on a daily basis. So for me, because I've had more traumas than the average person, I have to do a little more than that because I've got to rewire and I've got really toxic family members that are still not good and that put a lot of stuff out into the family dynamic. And so you carry stresses and worries and you try to isolate some of these feelings over the years. But for me, I have to do more than the average person. But that I do prayer, meditate, and then I do exercise on a daily. There's obviously read. I'm a big reader, apply mind to everything I do. So I'm curious and I want to look and research, but anything with adventure kind of can help me get the energy out, and then prayer and meditation for the mind and the soul.
That's powerful. Has
Yeah.
those practices also been what led you to find or get clear on what your drive is in life, what your passion, what your purpose is?
100%. Yeah, once I started really getting into manifesting and meditating and all these things, putting my goals down, I started to have a real deep picture for my life. And so I have a curious very imaginative mind. And so I can see pictures really good in my mind. So I can close my eyes and go into this inner world and I'm just in a whole nother place. And so when I tapped into that creative side outside of all the drama of life, I started to really find freedom in myself. And it gave me like permission to dream again. And it gave me permission to pursue things that I wanted to do that people told me wasn't going to happen or that couldn't happen or that was wrong to do or whatever along the way. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, that's been my experience with it for sure.
That's powerful. Yeah, wow. Other than, so when you were in aviation, very, very interested in that because I have a goal. My dad and I have a goal of getting a jet in the future.
Let's go.
Oh my God. I
What are you doing
dislike flying
today, sir?
so much. Oh my. Just security and everything every time. I love flying because it like takes me out of reality. I get to see everything, but oh my gosh, I cannot wait to get a jet. If someone was looking into getting a jet, what would you recommend? Like, what's the process in that?
Yeah, so you can streamline it depending on what you're looking for. Everybody's got a different budget. Some people want a 4, 6 seater. Some people need an 8, 10. Every person is going to have a different idea of what their ideal jet is. So it can start from a light jet up to a large size jet, and the budget can be anything from 1 million all the way up to 100 million or more, depending on if you're getting a Boeing or a 787 or some bigger jets. So, depending on what you're looking for, you just need to decide how many people do I want to carry? How far do I want to go? Do I want to do this just internationally or like locally, domestically, or internationally? You got to find out because that will determine on the jet size. If you want to go internationally, we have to have a jet that has bigger fuel tanks so you can refuel in a certain spot on the East Coast or the West Coast in certain places so that you're not running out of fuel. So the amount of people, where you're trying to go, what is your budget, and will you sign an NDA? Those are things you tell me and I will tell you. No, yeah. So people can get into that. If you want to like just explore the industry of aviation, getting a charter is great because it gives you a little taste of what's happening. You can get a charter anywhere from 4 to probably 10,000 a flight hour, and you can fly from New York to Miami on a few-hour flight, and you're gonna experience what it feels like to travel like that, going into a private airport, dealing with no baggage issues and no ticket, no customers that are cussing you out, not getting kicked off a flight, not dealing with a crying baby, all the things, right, that you're gonna deal with in a commercial airport. Private FBO, you're gonna walk in, it's quiet, you're gonna get a coffee, you're gonna walk right onto your jet, you're gonna fly, you're gonna have a breakfast or a dinner with your friends. You're gonna get there, your car's at the tarmac, and you're going to your meeting or you're going to your event. And so that's a great way to get in is through charters. I can sell you a charter too. But there's everything from charters, purchasing, fractional ownership, or investments. There's a lot of people that, will work in investments and want to invest in a jet and then part it out, sell the engine before they even get the closing done on the jet. And then as soon as it happens, everything's seamless. People are making money. And then there's the management side of aviation where there's money in that, where you buy a jet, you don't know how to handle it. I'll manage it for you. I have a management company. We'll make sure the field, is organized, make sure the maintenance is organized, the pilots are hired, the flight attendants. So yeah, it depends on what you want. You can get a little plane with no flight attendant or a big one with a flight attendant. But so
That's
many avenues in aviation, you can go so many directions with it and it can be lucrative on so many fronts. So I do all of it and I'm excited because you can go 100 directions with that with 100 different entrepreneurs. You want a jet just to travel to work. Well, they want a jet to invest in. Well, they need a management company. Well, they need a charter. So it's just kind of cool. And then you can help design jets too for people that want to buy them, customize the interior, make sure that they have everything that they want if they, have the budget for it. So I can do all that too.
it's literally so many different roads and paths down that. I think it's just I absolutely love private aviation, jets, charters. I actually didn't even know about that how profitable is that actually? If someone wants to buy a jet and then charter it out, let people use it to make money.
Yeah, so that side of it isn't as profitable, like as an investment side. Chartering a jet out is going to be a lot of breaking even. I mean, a lot of people do it. They don't charter it out, they give it to their buddies or whatever, they gift it out. But it's going to cover just about what it would cost to maintain the plane. So there's not a lot of margin on charter flights if you were to buy a jet and then be like, hey, it's not like an Airbnb. The margins aren't there for that because fuel is so expensive unless you can get a partnership with, a good fuel emissions company where they're giving you some really cool fuel and it's cheaper and you have whatever. But as a whole, charter is not going to be profitable for the private jet owner to do it will offset, but it is going to just about eat up on your flight hours and your maintenance of your plane. And that costs you $1 million a year plus or whatever, so
Yeah.
yeah.
What other than private aviation, what do you think is a good investment for people to make for, well, whether it's long term or short term, because I know you have experience in real estate and in Bitcoin, right? Crypto?
Yeah, I've got investments in a few different industries. Right now, currently, I mean, you can get some great margins on real estate always, right? You can get really cheap houses on the East Coast, and some places on the West, very rural areas for like 60,000, $80,000 or $100,000, and you can fix them up and you're going to get a few $100 here and there, or you could offload it and make 40, 50 grand. Those are little chunks you can do, of course. But that's not where big money is. And so obviously having partnerships with bigger investment companies and partnering with other companies and investing in theirs, you're getting a lot more return on your investment. But like for aviation, the investment side there, somebody wants to invest in a jet, that's amazing because you can have margin there. There's so many different ways you can go about it, but I'm trying to think of what was the first part of your question on that? What were you
Which,
saying?
which one do you think is a better investment right now?
Okay, so AI, that's what I was about to say. I was like, where am I at?
Whoa, that's a good one.
Yeah. AI is obviously the wave of the future, right? There's so many like things going on with AI. So that's currently what I'm working on right now, some partnerships with AI. One of them wants to possibly we're in talks, we'll see, an aviation prototype that would be something that you could have like 36 languages that somebody
Wow.
that looks like me and talks like me and has all the aviation facts and all the listings all over the world and all these languages so that you can communicate. Then you can create content, Zoom calls, masterminds, and you're not even a part of it. You literally just have to upload the program. That's the kind of cool stuff that you can invest in projects like that, or people that are doing innovative stuff in the economy right now. The wellness space is huge. There's a lot of investments but yeah, Bitcoin and crypto. I've got a little in Bitcoin. I did not get on the last run. This last run that just took off, I was like, I should. I mean, I have a little bit in
Yeah.
crypto and a couple NFT projects that I'm working with and, Ethereum, stuff like that. But I don't have as what I used to have. That was more of when I was strictly trading during 2020. That was my thing. My main focus was trading just because the world had shut down. I'm like, I got to figure a skill set out. We got to figure this out. So I just started doing stocks and then shorts on stocks and then crypto and it worked for 6 months. It was great. But I don't have the time to sit on a computer, and so I have a guy in Miami that kind of helps me with stuff, but I'm not as active in it as I could be. It's just been a lot going on the last couple of years. So I'll get back into it. I just keep my reserves there and I just get more excited about the other investments. Like I have a few projects that are commercial projects that I'm working on, and I try to invest in things that are close to my heart. So that's fun, and I get the perks of stuff that I like. So I have a music festival a music venue that's doing music festivals that I invested in because I love music and I want to be a part of it. And they're giving me, 10 tickets a year once it's up and running and I get all the perks of it. And so that's fun to invest in. I love talking numbers. I also love going to shows. I also love music. And it's a legacy project. So it's giving musicians a chance to kind of get their music out there. So that's amazing. So those are things that's how I invest. I invest in like the money trail that's in front of me. And then I kind of trace that trail. And it changes through the years because real estate changes, the stock market
Yeah.
changes, everything has to change. And so I look what's before me and I literally pivot all the time. Okay, that's not working. Let's go here. Or this is not where my passion is anymore. I've got to sidestep. and not in everything. You can't start a business and stop a business every time you get bored or you don't like doing it, because obviously everything is hard at some season in it. But for me, with investment specific, I just transition a lot. I bounce around based on what my interests are, and that's changed over the years, right? Real estate used to be the main interest because it was so great. You could do a lot of passive
Yeah.
income state when you could buy houses for nothing or a very short amount of money down. And so it did that for years and managed properties and, custom built houses. But that's not where my passion lies. That was just something I did because I needed the money, and that money trail was right there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So as someone who's done things all over, I'm curious to hear your opinion on the saying. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And
Yeah.
also, some people say that, other people say focus on one thing, keep the main thing the main thing. But at the same time, like you just said, if you need money, you need money.
Yeah, that's it. The last podcast I was on, I said this story. I was living in England and there was a guy there. He was a pastor, and we were staying with his family, and it was just, a really cool experience. And we were missionaries over there. And I was like, this is like amazing. But he's working outside the house. And we were talking to him one day, and he was like, don't put your eggs in one basket, as a rule of thumb, because I was like 23. And he was like, always diversify, put everything in a separate basket, because if this basket goes away, you got these eggs that aren't all crushed. If this one goes away. So I took that on as like a staple advice. And I was like, I like his lifestyle. I like his character. I like who he is. And this works for my mind. Now, not everybody can do that because they get distracted and they go here and there. And yes, you need to keep a lot of the things the main thing. But because we live in a culture and society that's constantly changing, now AI is going to work people out of jobs. So if you don't utilize that to your advantage, you got to pivot constantly. And, whether you're working a 9 to 5 or you're in a regular job, you're going to get older, and then understudies are going to come in and they're going to replace you if you don't have. So you got to have skill sets. You got to be able to master skill sets and be okay with change to kind of climb the ladder. I've kind of done the zigzag up the ladder. I've not done this. I'm in like A, like that. And I'm still doing that. I'm just trying to find the right spot to take me higher. I'm like, where is it? Over here, over here.
Uh,
And that's just how my mind works. Neurodivergent again, like I have it just thinks different. And so a lot of years when I put my mind like the way other people thought, and I did what I was told to do, and I worked those jobs and I did the life I was supposed to do, I was miserable. I was so depressed because I couldn't creatively express myself in any way when it came to work or even my personal life. I was just like, just plowing kind of thing. So now it's important to diversify. You got to have constant things going for work to continue to come in,
yeah,
because companies can fall apart all day long. And if you have an investment that goes bad and all of it's there and you trusted them, then you're back to square one, right? So you're going to have to pivot either way. You might as well have a couple things that you're bouncing off of while this one shuts down, this one's opened up. So
yeah.
that's again it with my approach.
It's almost like using the business or your skills, quote unquote, as the vehicle to drive to that destination, making money, and then as you're going with it to find your passion, and then bam, ultimately helping you to get to that top of the mountain, that goal.
Exactly. And it's funny because it's the skill set that I learned when I was moving all the time, putting myself out, just showing up in a new environment and having to creatively create a life in a world in wherever I'm at. And so that skill set translates over, and now you're not selling real estate, you're selling contracts for $100 million deals. And it's not an industry that I'm a part of, but because I know the skill set and they know I have the connection and they know that I have the, authentic, trusting relationship, they come to me with these deals. I was talking to a couple aviation brokers yesterday and the day before and today about a specific contract. And it was just because someone said, oh, you're in aviation. Do you want to buy $100 million company? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to buy that myself, but I do know a buyer. And so you're all of a sudden, you're getting the connections and the contracts are coming in. So you're able to just work in that industry in a different space, but it's still creating income. And it comes to you because of the skill set that you've developed. So
Your network is your net worth. Wow. Connections, networking. That's amazing. I love that how it all just ties back into each other.
I know, and it's only been 7 months since I've been out here. So I'm like, God's doing something big because
Wow.
he's able to just bring it all in so seamlessly. So once it all cracks and everything's rolling, I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm like jumping side to side. I'm like, woo!
I have a good feeling about 2025 for myself, for a lot of other people. I mean, I have a lot of people who keep on saying, I'm living through you, I'm living through your life. And I'm like, well, get ready because we're on the fast lane. Things are about to get shaky. Sometimes I get a bit nervous, but again, it all goes back to like what you said, just the passion, the focus, prayer, meditation, reading books, just staying on what does good for you and keeping your energy intact.
Yeah, preserving your energy is super important because when you're trying to fire and make decisions, you're trying to network and all these things come to you. If you've drained your energy doing the wrong thing, you're going to be exhausted and you're going to have decision fatigue. It's going to create more anxiety, more fear is going to be associated because you've drained your energy in other areas. So preserving your energy so that you can have laser focus when you're pursuing your passion, when you're pursuing your business. And it is shaky and scary, but if you can really tune into that laser focus, trusting and that the best is yet to come, that everything that happens for you is meant to be, and all things work together for good. All things, you can take every life lesson and you can build on it, and that pain becomes your platform. That business failure becomes your next platform that you stand and speak from, and now you can help businesses not fail. There's just so many layers to it, and so yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
Talking about platforms, I'm interested to hear what got you onto Instagram.
Yeah, so I was obviously going through a life change. I went through a divorce and I hadn't been on Instagram for work. I didn't like it because I thought it was shallow and fake. I'm like, what are these fake pictures? Like I don't like this. Like that's my take on it. I would get overwhelmed. I'd like compare myself in the fitness industry. Like this is when I was bodybuilding years ago when I had first got on it and I was like, I don't like it. Like I feel like it's making me feel like I'm not good enough. I'm freaking great, like ugh. And so I just was like, I don't like it. Social media is not my thing. So I just wasn't on it. And then my marketing girl was like, you got to get on it. What are you doing? When I hired her, I had like 60 or 70 followers, I think. Yeah, this was a couple years ago. I had 70 followers. And she's like, I didn't think you were real. I thought you were a catfish because who are you? Why are you? You're this pretty girl. You're talented. Da, da. So they vetted me big time. Their assistant vetted me. And I was like, no, she's like, you're like a rock. I'm like, yeah, it's fun under there. It's so fun under the rock. Like, I love it. People don't know where I'm at, what I'm doing. I can live free. It's
Uh,
amazing out here. I'm in the moment, I'm present. But yeah, so it's been a journey. Honestly, it has not been an easy journey. Social media has been a hard one for me. It took a couple years. Like I've been on it just over 2 years now, but the first year was brutal. I was like, I can't put pictures out. I can't do this. So, social media has been a huge game changer though for me with networking and business, brand authority, and just authentic relationships that can be built. So I just started posting travel pictures till I got comfortable because I'm an introvert. I'm like, I don't want people to know my life. I don't want you to know me. If you don't know me, you don't know me. That was my thing. And it was just more of a selfish thing. It was like, no, people need to know you because you got stuff to share. And I'm like, okay. So I started switching my mindset on it. And it's not about what people are going to say or criticize me on. It's literally, I don't care if they criticize me because I'm here to help you kind of thing. So I started utilizing it for more, brand and developing the business side of it and then putting more content out there. And then it's started to develop from there. I'm still trying to figure it out.
yeah. Is it just you doing it, or do you have a team that helps you with ideas and posting and stuff? Because I know that can get so overwhelming.
Yeah, so for the first year I had an assistant that would run it. I hired several people that would help. I mean, they were doing my DMs, everything. And then I hired a virtual guy because one of the girls had to leave. And then he was like in all this weird stuff. And I was like, dude, you cannot. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is not going to help my brand. Like, so I had to fire him. And then I've had people helping me here. I had a video guy helping me here. Not in LA, but just online. And I hired him and he was helping me come up with some different stuff. But I was getting so anxious and overwhelmed with all of it because I didn't feel like it represented me. And I don't know, it just felt off. So I just was like, I'm coming back onto my DMs, like I'll take over everything. I'll post what I want to post. If I want to post playful stuff, I need to just get back to who Sarah is because I felt like for a while social media became just like put all your content out there, it has to be business. And I'm like, that's terrible. I don't want to watch business stuff all the time either. Like this is exhausting. I don't want to do this. So I'll put a little bit stuff out. And then if I get into a mood where I'm like, I ain't doing any business content, I just got to play. My creativity is there. So I'll, but even that, you have to gather the content. You got to sit in there and try and edit it. I don't have a video guy, which my camera sucks. And I've tried so many times. It's like the newest phone. I've tried it 12 times to fix this thing. So I don't even get the best quality. And I'm just like, whatever, I'm showing up. I'm putting it out there. I'm just showing up and it is what it is. And I'll eventually hire a full team that's a video editor that's in my space, and I've approached people on it. You just need the right person that's going to be able to film you. I don't want people in my space all the time and it has to be the right energy. So unless I'm on a reality show.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I've done
so
so many times too, where it's just business, business, business. Then I'm like, I don't want to keep on posting that. Like,
yeah. And it's not if it starts being unauthentic because you feel like you just have to do your post for the day, you're just like, all right, it's not working for me. And people can feel that energy. Nobody wants to watch that stuff anyways. So that's kind of where I've tapped back into it in the last little while. I'm just like, you know what? I don't care what people think about me in general. Like I know who I am. I'm confident in what God has got me through. I know where I'm going. I know what my skill set is. I know what I bring to this world. I know what I have to offer to the humanity and to people that I love. I know I love big and I give big. And so haters don't affect me really. Like I have a weird, and they could be the neurodivergency. I have a weird switch that's like literally rejection isn't as big of a thing for me as other people. Like I can walk in a room and feel fully confident with the best of the best. I belong there too. I've worked to be here. We're good, so I don't have as big of imposter syndrome now because I've really tapped into that. But yeah, I've always had a weird, freakish confidence.
I love that. It's so
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm like, well, I'm a unicorn. So, and I've known that since I was a kid. I'm a unicorn. Not everybody's built like me. Not everybody's going to live like me. Not everyone's going to think like me. Not everyone's going to love like me. And that's okay. But for me, this is me. And you love it or you hate it. You trigger people or you intimidate people.
Yeah,
But it's me. And, I have a lot to bring to this world. And so I kind of tap into that when I get into a place where I'm going into a social setting where I don't want to be social. I'm
yeah.
like, all right, tap in, here we go, click it on, let's go, you got this. And then I, can obviously shine in those environments and then stuff opens up through that. But yeah, it's definitely not been an easy thing
I
over the years. You
know.
learn.
So what's coming up in this year and next 2 years that you're excited for?
I'm believing God for some big contracts. I've got a monetary amount that I'm trying to circle for this year that I want to beat. I've got some investment projects that I'm playing with. I've got the brokerage, so I'm really hoping all the sales partnerships have developed. LA brokers, New York brokers, Miami brokers. So that's just, starting to build a spider web.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking engagements coming up in March and April. I'm going to be speaking for some investors, limited partners that are looking for innovative investments. And so I'll be speaking with some other people in Carlsbad. So I'm going to be building up my personal brand. My public speaking is going to be coming more in the stage setting, not just on social media. And so, yeah, hopefully strategizing that part of my career. Long term, I'd love to write a book in the next few years, a personal storybook, and just everything I experience, I always say in my head, this is another chapter in the book. Like this is an amazing story. Like I could do a bestseller with the storyline because you're like reading it, you're like, nah, that didn't. Yes, that happened. No way. Yep, that happened too. Not a chance. Yeah. So like I feel like I could be playful with it, but drop some really hard bombs on people. So I'd love to explore that. And that's one of the reasons with the personal brand coming out to LA, I really work, the leadership development, the public speaking, the female empowerment side of things to just show that you can do this. You can get through hard things. You can rise above the statistics. You do not have to be what your family told you. You don't have to be what the world told you. You don't have to be what your peers told you. You can be whatever you want. You can create your life, your dreams, if you want to show up for yourself. And that means do the hard work, sit in the uncomfortable feelings, and just continue to give, and it all comes to you. So Yeah, so that's kind of what I feel like is coming up. It's a little unclear because I don't have, this is the first season in my life that I've not had like a very clear runway of like how it's going to happen. And
Mhm.
so I have a lot of the unknown right now that I'm trying to navigate, and it's uncomfortable for sure because I've got things that I'm dreaming about, but I'm still trying to teeter on which side, how am I getting to that point, you know? And so, yeah, we're testing some waters, we're dabbling in some different things to see what will come. And then there's a lot of investment opportunities that are coming. It's just a matter of what kind of funding I can create to invest in these projects. It's like it's on. I got a lot of money to make so I can keep investing.
Yeah.
So
Keep the momentum going.
yeah, it's just like do this so you can do that, so you can do this, so you can do that, and then you'll eventually, hopefully, in the next few years, I can just sit back a little bit and just do passion projects and let somebody else take the wheel on this and just be the face and the energy, and then get paid to exist and let other people do the worker bee stuff.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I have a website, thesarahmarie.net. I have consulting on there, corporate aviation, if you want to purchase, fractional own, charter, management company, investment project, or investment projects if you want to invest, if you're looking to invest with female entrepreneurs to help them scale, if you're looking to invest internationally, you're looking to invest in any creative commercial projects. I've got pitch decks that come across my desk all the time, and I sign on new people to my capital group all the time. So yeah, between coaching, consulting, leadership development, aviation, and investments, you can catch me there. I also do the Sarah Marie one on Instagram, the Sarah Marie one on all social sites. So you can find me there, message me anything you want to know if you have a question. And if you need a goal setting worksheet, any female entrepreneur, message me goals. If you need a jet, message me jet.
I love it.
Be in touch. Yeah.
I
So
love it. Guys, go follow Sarah 100%. Follow along with her journey. I'm going to be following. I'll probably even fly out to LA because I
let's
love it
do it.
there. And you guys just have an amazing energy. Thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. Absolutely love it. And 100% love that this is going to touch so many people's hearts and change their lives as well.
Appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks for having me on the show. Woo!
You too. Ciao.